We are expecting the mayor to join us this morning to welcome you, and we will bring him on when he arrives. But I'm so pleased that we have with us Congressman Chaka Fattah. As many of you know, the Honorable Chaka Fattah is a member of the U.S. House of Representatives representing the 2nd District of Pennsylvania. We are on his home turf. We're happy to be here with you, Congressman Fattah. He is a senior member of the House Appropriations Committee, and he is the architect. He will, I'm sure, tell you some about how his work was responsible for bringing to life the National Gear Up program, which has brought unbelievable resources to our community. Over the past 15 years, more than $5.4 billion in federal funds have gone to local communities to serve students in almost every state in the country and the territories of the United States. We're also thrilled that the Congressman will return to the Labor, HHS, Education-related Agencies Appropriations Subcommittee in the 114th Congress, where he can continue to shape policy and funding priorities not only for Gear Up and for all the things we care about in education, but also the national needs that so surround all the families that we're trying to serve. Robert F. Kennedy said that every time a man stands for an ideal, acts to improve the lot of others, or strikes out against injustice, he sends forth a tiny ripple of hope. And all those ripples of hope combine together to create a current that can sweep down the mightiest walls of resistance and oppression. It is because of people like Congressman Fattah that we are able to create great hope in our community, and we welcome him. We're glad to be in his community. Thank you, Congressman Fattah.
Well, I have addressed many audiences here in Philadelphia, but this is an extraordinary joy to welcome the Gear Up team to my hometown. Give yourselves a big round of applause for all that you've done to help so many millions of young people across our country. And sometimes when you tell this story that, it was just a few blocks from here in front of the school district of Philadelphia years ago when I had a press conference and announced the introduction of the legislation that would create Gear Up. And I said then that we were going to pass this even though as a Congress controlled by the other team, that I knew that this was an idea that could revolutionize the way that we move young people along their educational attainment levels. And we went to Washington, and not only did we pass it in the House and in the Senate, President Clinton came to Philadelphia. We were at Salisbury Middle School, and we had a big event rolling out Gear Up. But I don't think any of us could imagine that some 16 years later that there would be 13 million young people empowered through your work in states and all across our country, that we would invest almost $5 billion in this effort, $4.8 billion, and it would be the best investment that our nation could ever make. And I think in the numbers, it's hard to tell the story. I met a young lady this morning coming into the hotel who's a lifer. And I think it may be better to illustrate the story through her. I'm going to embarrass her and bring her up here. Katie Hill, are you here? Where's she at? Come up here. Now, Katie Hill, you got to follow this story, right? Because she's been connected to Gear Up for 14 years. But she first got in touch with this program, like thousands of the young people here in Philadelphia. Ali runs our Philadelphia program. Give our host from Philadelphia a big round of applause. I know you're having a great time. But come over here. So she lived in a little farm up near the border of Oregon, but she lives in Nevada or Nevada.
Nevada.
It depends on which side you're at, right? So, but wait a minute, in 7th grade, she got plugged into the Gear Up program. And she got a chance to do all the things that Gear Up students experience, visit colleges and get a college preparatory curriculum, and get mentorship. And anyway, it worked because she visited a school that she later attended and matriculated and graduated from after 6 years in the Gear Up program and receiving the scholarships and help that she needed. And then she went on to graduate school and became a graduate assistantship and working in the Gear Up with Gear Up students on the other side, helping them find their way to college. And now on to a doctoral program. And she's got 5 siblings. She represents everything that's important about what we need to be doing to prepare the future generation of leaders in this country as we at some point have to pass the baton. I want you to just welcome her and let her just tell you a few minutes about her story and about how Gear Up has impacted her life. And she's here now doing an internship with INSEP, with Gear Up. And this is what we're all working for. Say good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Like Congressman Fattah said, I grew up in a small town called Arvada, Nevada. There were 18 people in my graduating class, so it was really, really small. And we were really far away from everything. It was about 4 hours to get to a mall, so in Reno. And so Gear Up came to my school when I was in the 7th grade and provided services. We went on college visits, we got mentoring, tutoring. I was able to take dual enrollment courses through the local community college via distance education. And I graduated high school with 27 college credits, which was awesome. I went on to the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and graduated with my bachelor's in psychology and a minor in human services. I then went to the University of Nevada, Reno, and graduated with my master's in educational leadership for higher education administration. And while I was there, I was a graduate assistant for Gear Up in a research capacity. I worked with Janet Usinger, who some of you might know. She works with CCREC and does a lot of evaluation for Gear Up. And then Janet enticed me and said, if you stay for your doctoral program, you can do this really great study. So I stayed, and it's a study with Gear Up students, and I work with Gear Up students, and I joined the Gear Up Alumni Leadership Academy in the first cohort in 2014, and I helped train the second cohort, and NSEP was gracious enough to have me as an intern this semester, so I'll be there till the end of June. And really, Gear Up has it's shaped where I am and who I am and everything that I do. It's really helped me get a purpose in life to help other students who came from a similar background that I did. And I thank you all for the work that you do every day. It really makes a difference for students who came from backgrounds like I came from. So thank you.
Thank you. Now, as we think about a country with just a little over 300 million people, we're competing economically with nations like billion-plus populated nations like China and India. In order for America to remain number one in the world, we can't afford to leave any of our young people in the shadows of opportunity. We need to prepare each and every one to meet their God-given talents. And Gear Up is about grabbing these young people while the concrete is not yet hardened and putting them in a position to achieve their potential. I note that my chief of staff is here. He's the original Gear Up director here in Philadelphia, but he now runs my offices. Roger Jackson, good to see you this morning. And it just shows you that Gear Up leadership can be transformative in every respect. We're working very, very hard to position America for continued global leadership, but we can't do that unless we meet the president's challenge, which is that we need to lead the world in college-educated adults. And we can't possibly do that without Gear Up and without expanding Gear Up. I've just authored what we call in the business a Dear Colleague letter to all of my colleagues calling for, in the FY16 budget, a $500 million Gear Up appropriation. We need to leapfrog to expand and accelerate the progress that's being made. INSEP, as a not-for-profit that was established to help guide Gear Up with a a very, I think, important grant from the Ford Foundation at the time. Has done just an extraordinary job. I want to congratulate your board and Nathan for the great work that you're doing. And Jim, your staff at the Department of Education has done so much to keep Gear Up on track and moving. And it is now the largest early college program and scholarship program in our country's history. It's the largest program, and its impact is felt throughout the country. And I know that we have, how many states do we have represented here? About 44 states represented in this room who are doing important work. I saw Shelley Davis from California on Saturday morning. Before I flew out of California, I was at UCLA at 8 o'clock in the morning with 650 young men of color in a special program that we need to take, and I think we need to replicate it all across the country, getting them ready. There's so much that we need to do, and you've already done so much. Now, I saw our great mayor of the city of Philadelphia come in. He's done an extraordinary job putting education at the very forefront of our city's agenda and focusing on college attainment. Give the mayor of our city, Mayor Nutter, a big round of applause. I saw him. You'll be hearing from him momentarily. So let me just say this, that Gear Up is a program that has always enjoyed bipartisan support in the Congress. It has, from its inception, it was passed at a time when we had Republican control of the House and the Senate. It succeeded even in the face of attempts by the previous administration under President Bush to zero out the program. It was able to maintain and to grow. After $4.8 billion invested in 13 million young people who've been empowered through your work, I can just tell you, it's almost in the words of a Philadelphia song, there ain't no stopping us now. Gear Up has come to the point of a mature program in the federal enterprise. It's been evaluated so many times, and one of the things that we know by the work, the recent work by the New America Foundation, that of all of the programs, none are more successful than Gear Up. None has the reach or has the impact. And that when we talk about even the most challenging of circumstances for young people all across our country, in every single state, in Native American lands, and our U.S. territories, in Guam and Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands, Gear Up works. It has now become an international model and has been used to create programs for young people in Mexico and in Australia and in Europe, because this notion that you can take young people and just pull them out of circumstances hasn't worked. What Gear Up does is it embraces all of the young people at the school and say that success can be had by all, and exposes all of those young people to the reality that there are young people who've achieved in similar circumstances and they too can achieve. And you've done so much for so many. I just want to thank you for the work that you've done. Remind you that this reward for good work is more work. I know that I saw the great director from Long Island, Marilyn Monroe, who leads the Nassau Community College Gear Up program. We had one of their young people speak at the Capitol Hill alumni and just talked about the extraordinary impact that Gear Up has had. So you should be empowered with the knowledge that the work that you're doing is making a difference, and that we can, and as the president has laid out with this free community college proposal, with our already reforms of the student loan programs, and the work that we've done, that we can make college attainable for every young person who dreams of it and wants it. And as a nation, we know with a certainty that the way to defeat intergenerational poverty is through educational attainment. So the cause for our country of ignorance is much too great for us to bear. America's leadership in the world is dependent on your work. in your communities all across our land, and I know with Godspeed, you'll continue to do great work. Thank you so very much for all of you've done for all of the Katy Hills. Give her another round of applause and give yourselves the inspiration to go forward again. Thank you very much.